Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Leal in this incarnation. So today I am here to talk about Parravicini and this thing that is happening between our teenagers and kids. This is important. I am going to approach this theme from a spiritual perspective, like I always do. But it's important to see the whole thing and not to exclude this part. To understand this better. So Parravicini, I already did 2 videos talking about him. Was this painter who described many events that were going to happen to humanity, and many of them have already taken place. Let's remember this man died in 1974. So all these iconographies that I'm going to show you today, these were channeled in the 30s. So these events were certainly things he didn't know. Now I'm going to show the first psychography. It says, the woman will undress in public and will tire. The man will drift away in weariness. So this is already happening, I think, and I will talk about this in another video when I am talking about the polarities, the feminine and the masculine that every one of us have. But this is a distortion of the feminine polarity, and okay, I just wanted to show you this one in order to see how the things that are taking place, the things that he described. Okay, let's go with this another one. It says, sexual contact will decrease because of impaired sexual attraction. The man will despise the masculinized woman and decomposed by absurd fashions. The woman will be distanced from motherhood for lack of desire to the effeminate man and decomposed by ridiculous fashions. The medical laboratory will impose the maternal culture in artificial form, and the man of tomorrow will be of a spermatic selection. So this psychography is from 1937. Okay, he really had a view of the thing, you know, and I think that all of these things are happening right now. So I am going to show you the third one, and it says, the woman shall pass her hair to the man, and the man shall pass his clothes to the woman. Both shall rule in equal command, but time will sink them. Okay, here he's advertising about this thing, about the confusion that maybe many people is experimenting right now. So it's important to say, it's important to talk about Bert Hellinger, who was the creator of the family constellations. This is an alternative therapy that has to do with the order of the family system. This has to do with include every part or every member of the family, all the ancestors, for example, in order to let's suppose I am doing this constellation, this family constellation, so I have a problem, whatever this problem is, and I am having loyalties to members, or I am trying to compense. This is what Bert Hellinger says. Things that were excluded on the family system, for example, or things that weren't done, and that's why I'm putting my energy there in an unconscious way. He discovered that in the process of the family constellations, a lot of homosexual men did this therapy, consulted him, and he discovered that all of these men were having a loyalty to an excluded member of their family. So Bert Hellinger only said that all of them has this thing, you know, this loyalty to this member in all of those cases. I don't know the reasons why these men were consulted to him. Maybe because it was difficult to deal with their sexual orientation. I don't know, and he didn't talk about lesbians. So I don't have a perspective from that, but I think it's the same. I don't know why Bert Hellinger didn't talk about that either. For Bert Hellinger, it was very important to include, of course, these members in a conscious way. And of course, he said it was important to express this thing, to not repress the sexual orientation that the person was feeling. Other thing is there is no certainty about if homosexuality is something biological or a cultural thing yet. There's many tests. There are many people that are investigating this. One of these people is this man, Simon Libey. He did a lot of investigations. He found differences from the brain of an heterosexual person from the an homosexual one. But I only find the most big study is this one that is showing that there is no genetic cause for same-sex sexual behavior. I'm going to show. This says, although genetics are a certainty involved in who people choose to have sex with, there are no specific genetic predictors. Yet some researchers question whether the analysis, there's no certain information actually, but this study, which was did to 500,000 of people, it was the biggest one, didn't find a genetic reason, not only one at least. So what I am trying to say with this, for me it was very transgressive to approach this thing too, because I am not against anything, of course, and everyone can choose whatever they want, but I think that maybe some of these identifications that people could have, maybe they respond to something else. I'm just trying to give another perspective, and I am sorry if this hurts anybody. It's not my intention at all. I'm not trying to be a retrograde person. What is most, I didn't think about these things before a year and a half ago, where all this information came to me, and I felt that I had to share this with you. But what is more important, and the things that I'm going to talk about right now, is about the change of sex, the reassignment of sex. And I want to talk about that because I think many people are suffering a lot with this thing, and that this it is an ideology that is imposed these days by a hidden agenda, really, that it's not that hidden. But I think it's important to talk about this and not to be against anything. This is for include, this is for people can talk, this is for people can maybe find another point of view before taking a decision that maybe that will develop in a thing that has no return. So that's why I'm doing this. And I want to show you, well, all this news about the people that is regretting the change of sex. The curiosity is I didn't find as much news as I found in Spanish. I try to replace all the, I already did this video in my Spanish YouTube channel, and I try to replace the news, and it was a little bit more difficult to find them. what you are seeing on the screen are people that are called the transitioners. This is a movement that is coming right now for people that has regret the reassignment of sex. I didn't know the movement before, and well, there are cases that are famous, like Walt Heyer. This man is an activist. Actually, he has this web with a lot of testimonies about people that are suffering after their sex change. And I am trying to talk about this because, for example, there's this LGTB study. This study comes from the community of the LGTB. The study says that experts estimate that about 1% of transgender individuals regret having gender affirmation surgery. So the statistics for the LGTB movement are very low. And I am showing you this other study that raised attempted of suicide among trans adolescents. It says, I'm going to resume, but it says, among non-binary youth, 41% of respondents stated that they had attempted suicide at some point in their lives. And they are attributing these things to the lack of support of the society about their own sexual orientations or whatever they have chosen. But actually, there's a report from Sweden, and I really want to show you that the cases of this dysphoria diagnosis rise in 1,100% among teenage girls, because they had ideology politics, gender ideology politics. So there's this other study from Sweden that it's not supporting what these statistics are saying. And actually, the study says that sex reassigned persons also had an increased risk for suicide attempts. And the overall mortality for sex reassigned persons was higher during the follow-up. So, I mean, I think the statistics are not maybe very faithful to the truth. It was difficult to find this news again in English. I don't know why, but I'm going to show you this news from Spain. I'm going to traduce it for you, but it says, trans regretting from 7 to 10 years after the surgeries, people transgender are more propense to suicide. So I think that maybe statistics are not faithful to the truth. In fact, here in Argentina, I'm showing you, this is a movement of psychologists that says that to the government, the government is not interested in the statistics of people that is regretting their sex reassignment. So they are trying to move to change these things, because I am going to show you this thing too. This paragraph, it's an electoral code in order to process the sex change for children. And the paragraph says the correction of the sex component of minors may be processed from the age of 5 years. This is the paragraph 2 from the article 89. So I think this is a total madness, because of course a child of 5 years cannot choose this thing. It's not ready to do it, but this is supported, of course, by their parents. But I think this is going out of control, because a factor common that I found is that many of these people, if you read the testimonies, and I am not talking about the news that I show you at the first part of this video. I'm talking about all the testimonies I found on the internet that I didn't publish. I decided not to because they weren't by people that I don't know if they want to share this in a video of YouTube, for example, but I found a lot of testimonies, and you can do it by yourself. You can do this research. It's not that difficult, and all these people were looking for something to belong. Actually, I think the whole thing of this LGTB movement has to do with people that didn't feel okay with many things, the self-esteem, their bodies too. But I think everybody has these problems actually, because all the programming of the society, I already talked about this in a lot of videos, but we have a lot of these programations that makes us feel not okay, so about ourselves in many cases. So it's not about being homosexual or not being this, or the change of our body, because from a spiritual perspective, there's no mistake about the body, because the soul did choose it. So I want to include the spiritual perspective. Everything we are experimenting in this incarnation is something we choose. We chose it before. So the body, it's not a mistake, actually. And the factor common, and I am going to show you right now on the screen, is about the diagnosis of psychiatrists and psychologists from this movement that are giving this dysphoria, this gender dysphoria diagnosis to everybody. So many of them are starting a demand, for example, to the medical establishment, because these people that are supposed to be professionals are giving this diagnosis to all the children that are having problems of depression, or that maybe are questioning themselves because they don't have a guide. And I want to show you this. This person, Dagny, is a death transitioner. So I didn't find this in English, so I want to traduce. I will traduce it for you. But he's saying, I saw my parents as transphobic fanatics for trying to delay my consume of hormones, and because the social media Tumblr said so. So I read a lot of testimonies about these people saying that they were finding in social media a lot of support to people, transgender people. So many of them took this decision in order to feel more supported by the community, the collective, So I think the whole movement has to do with this thing. We are humans. We are. I think we have to see us as equals. So all of this thing of feeling that we don't belong. I'm saying this seriously. You don't need to be gay or transgender to feel that way. I think that happens for many people. I include myself, and I want to express that. For example, when I was a teenager, I was so identified with my masculine polarity. I did dress like a boy, for example, but there was one time that I asked that, I questioned that to myself, but wasn't about me trying to being a boy. Finally, it was that all those things came from a lot of things that I experimented. I already told you that I went through by sexual abuse. So all of these things were part of the trauma that I was experimenting. But this doesn't mean that I have to change my sex entirely, because many of these people, there's no return. They have been experimenting, they have been consuming hormones for a lot of years, and there's no turning back for them. Many girls, they can come back to their original voices, for example, or they don't have a uterus and they want to be mother. So this is something that is going out of control, and I'm really expressing this because of this, and because the statistics of suicidal, of people that already have this sex reassignment, for me, from my perspective, is higher than news and the LGTB movement is saying. So I think we have to pay attention to these things and really find the reason why they are doing this. I already told you in the video of the feminine polarity and the feminist movement, psychopaths are playing with the wounds of the society. If we have a relation one-on-one with a psychopath, he's going to, he or she is going to show us our own shadows. They manipulate with all the things that we already have. So this is happening with society in a more global scale, and this is a part of an agenda. So it's not a coincidence that in Sweden, for example, the diagnosis of gender dysphoria have raised in a 1,100% because they put political political ideologies. This is not a coincidence at all. So I want to show you these other psychographies about Parravicini. Says the woman man will be a truth, and it will be in two phases, by bisexual birth and by ancestry. It will be the beginning in them, but the truth will shine. Doctors will operate and do well, but the male woman will not be interpreted until the 70th. Okay, 1937, the psychography 2. Sorry, I'm a little bit stuck. I'm going to show you another one, and this is the same but backwards. It says, the man-woman will be in two phases, one by bisexual birth and the other by ancestralism. The evil will be the vice in the man. He will carry the sex in search and will end up in false woman-men. Doctors will operate and will do good, but the female man will not be interpreted until the 70th. Okay, again, these psychographies are expressing something that is already happened, because I did a little research, and from the final of the 60s to the beginning of the 70s were the moment that the first transsexual transgender people appeared. So this is something that he predicted, because it was going to be important for the process of our own humanity. So here he is confirming what I said at the first part of the video. He's confirming what Hellinger said. The two phases is bisexual birth and ancestralism. So what Hellinger said is that these people is carrying a lot of loads, maybe from their own clan, from their own family system. And I did a whole video talking about sexually transmitted diseases And I told you that all of them were programming, all of them. They are trying to make people think that they can cure themselves in order to be dependent on the pharmaceutical industries. So this is a big lie, a big lie. I'm going to repeat this as much as I can, because there's no possible that the body has no cure. It's not possible. From an energetic perspective, there is no possibility of that. So when AIDS appeared in the first phases, it appeared in the gay community. So maybe they were experimenting all of this, and nowadays it's not something that is very when it was the 90s, everyone was talking about that. It was something that it was going in everywhere. It was happening in every news, and now it's not a thing that it's very touched these days. So maybe the community, the gay community, was experimenting that because of their guilt for their repression of their sexual orientation, but maybe because they were confused, because they were carrying a lot of loads of other family members in an unconscious way. I'm just trying to give another perspective of this. And I really want to be clear about this. I do not believe in discrimination. I do not believe in exclude anybody. It's on the contrary. I just want to give this perspective, because maybe there's people that can approach this thing in a different way. And I'm not trying to fix anybody. I'm just trying to show that maybe all of these diseases, maybe the depression, the suicidal attempts, are coming from for the same reason, and that certainly there's people, a minority in this human race, that are manipulating our society because of they know what the wounds of the society are. So they are playing with all the confusion of our children and teenagers right now, and I mean they are causing a lot of harm. And if we keep supporting this without asking anything, I think we are collaborating, of course. So I'm just saying this because I really want that the people find the roots for their suffering, and maybe these things are involved in all of this. So thank you, everybody. I am ending the video here, and see you tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.